Hello, hello. I'm now going to read basically my fourth and final installment of The Occupation from the Outside. Ian Wiseman from the Cap and Gown, 1973. This is when we, the student body at the time, had occupied the Arsenal Inn building to basically demand that their fees were to be collected by the president, who had in the weeks before the protest revoked the union's ability to collect money from the students. So, time for the fourth and final chapter. We've talked about how it started, who got involved, how it was organized. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the quarrels before the very end of the debate, and then we'll wrap it all up. So, the University Faculty Association, walking on thin ice of job security, were not as gutsy as the students had expected. 70 of them voted against supporting the students, winning out over the 50 who wanted to immediately voice their approval. The majority group of professors wavered and waffled, finally abstaining from the vote because they either feared reprisals or else thought the time was not quite right. It was plain for us to see 3/4 of the faculty supported the students, but only 1/4 were willing to say it publicly, so the Faculty Association decided to stay neutral and try to act as a conciliatory body. The next day, all the final nails were driven into Lord Taylor's defeat. Early in the morning, 2 members of the Strategic Committee, along with a sympathetic faculty member, paid a secret visit to Premier Frank Moore. Richard Cashin, president of Newfoundland's biggest single union, the Newfoundland Fishermen, Food and Allied Workers Union, came to the Little Theatre that afternoon. He told a full house that he abhorred the paternalistic and colonial attitude to our people by Lord Taylor, as he went into a long discussion of the structural weaknesses of Newfoundland society. Interrupted every 5 minutes or so by a thunderous ovation, he concluded, "You are fighting for the dying embers of an old order, and good luck to you." Enthusiasm was at an all-time high. Even faculty members were excited to the point of circulating a petition among themselves calling for the removal of Taylor from the office of the university president. There were 2 major groupings of students that night. The administration building was alive at all evenings as premature celebration of victory started that lasted until after daylight the next day. The other major grouping of students that night met in the university residences for more serious reasons. The resident students wholeheartedly supported the occupation but were becoming impatient at the lack of progress. Wanting a strike, they called a general meeting of the students for the Thompson Center the next morning. Moreland University had never seen so many students in one place before. Over 4,000 of the university's 7 were there to listen and debate, and they were united. Representatives of the Department of Social Work announced that their entire department was shut down by the faculty and students. A philosophy student said his department was considering taking similar action. There was only one point of debate at the Mammoth gathering, whether the next action should be a strike, complete with picket lines, or a voluntary boycott of classes. A hand vote settled the question with a certain finality. 95% of students favored a strike. The campus livened up fast. As soon as the meeting broke up, there were students preparing press releases and meetings, students slaving over typewriters and machines preparing flyers, students wandering the buildings with megaphones. One exuberant group even went into the science building, where many university administrators had set up their temporary offices and shut down the entire administrative wing, sending everyone home. Outside this flurry of activity, Premier Moore's underlined were going about their business, that of polarizing top administrators and forcing negotiations to begin. For students, the battle had already been won. The pressures of the administration to capitulate were building to the breaking point as public opinion, government pressure, and student activities escalated. Early that evening, the Board of Regents Chairman Gordon Winters, a prominent St. John's businessman, contacted the student negotiators requesting a meeting. In light of this break, the resident students called off the strike for 24 hours, giving the administrators' bargainers time to prove their good intentions. University Vice President M.O. Morgan, the most powerful administrator and heir apparent to Taylor, became involved in the fray for the first time, canceling all classes for the next day. It is generally thought his move was to prevent possible altercations between picketers and the engineering students. Although engineers, unbeknownst to Morgan, had decided to respect the picket lines, removing their last monkey wrench from the machine of solidarity. Thursday, the 10th day in the building, was another day of waiting. Much of the day was spent watching 2 negotiator teams bicker over the possible choices for an impartial chairman. Occasional words of this telephone contact leaked out, and more than one eyebrow was raised at the information that Taylor had threatened to resign because the Board of Regents did not want him on their negotiating committee. The details were finally ironed out. The chairman would be city lawyer and MHA Robert Wells. The meeting would be held in the Holiday Inn at 7 p.m., and Taylor would be along with the Regent representatives. Taylor, almost unanimously in disfavor on all sides, was effectively muzzled by the chairman and his Regent colleagues. The meeting took 5 hours, debating each student demand and winning them all, including a clause instructing the University Senate to be academically lenient with those who participated in the demonstration. The Board of Regents' decision was rescinded, and the collection of compulsory fees would continue until such a time that students themselves, by referendum, should decide for or against it. It was so much that the students had won. They had been fighting fighting against a loss of rights, as that Taylor had lost. He had no mandate from the students or faculty anymore, had lost the support of many key administrators and region members, and lost the respect of the Moores government. Whoa! I'm going to show you a picture too. There's a couple of the boys sleeping outside in the Arts and Admin building. Here's a depiction of Revolutionary Headquarters. And does that place look familiar to you all? See, that's an admin building. So thanks for listening to this. I think it's really important, and I think we can take a lot of valuable lessons from it. I don't think that student movements and student mobility needs to come from a centralized organization like Munsu. I think it comes from grassroots people and community support. It's the only way to get things done. So thank you very much for listening. I'm going to make another video. Tomorrow is voting day. If you want to vote for me as your Executive Director of Finance and Services, Max Page, please keep an eye out for me on munsu.ca/elections tomorrow and the next day, March 11th and 12th. Thanks for listening. See ya. Goodbye.